All right, welcome in everyone. This is Uma's Lotus Lounge. It is a featured stream here on the MeetMe app, and it is also part of my podcast, the Lotus Lounge podcast, that I have on YouTube and on Buzzsprout, Apple Radio, iHeartRadio, Spotify, wherever there are podcasts to be heard. My podcast is there. My name is Uma B, Top Badge Uma B, and I am so blessed and happy to have you guys here. We are going to start our show with affirmations, because why not start the show with affirmations and something positive, right? So, if you would like, take a nice deep breath in and exhale. Deep breath in and exhale. Now I have 3 affirmations, affirmation 1, 2, and 3. Before you pick your affirmation, just do like what I did. Take a nice deep breath in, exhale, and ask your spirit guides what affirmation is meant for me. All right? Okay, now let's see. Put a 1 in the comments if you chose affirmation 1. I'm going to be sharing these affirmations with you and then also giving you a message with the affirmations. So did anyone choose affirmation 1? All right, so for those of you that are watching the recording, affirmation 1 says, true healing occurs when I give myself permission to feel whatever feelings live below the triggers. True healing occurs when I give myself permission to feel the feelings that live below the triggers. What does that mean? It means that whenever we get triggered, it is never the reason why we think we get triggered, right? It's never the reason. So if someone is pissing you off, that's not the reason. There's something else deeper. There's deeper feelings there that you have to check out and look into, right? That is affirmation 1. Welcome in, everyone. This is Uma's Lotus Lounge, a featured stream here on the MeetMe app and part of my podcast. Who chose affirmation 2? Put 2 in the comments if you chose affirmation 2. We only have 2 left, 2 and 3. Okay? So for those of you that chose affirmation 2, this is your affirmation. My outer experiences are a reflection of my internal condition. My outer experiences are a reflection of my internal condition. It's kind of similar to affirmation 1. What's happening on the outside is a reflection of the inside. And finally, affirmation 3. For those of you that chose affirmation 3, my happiness is a direct reflection of my level of faith in the universe. Oof. That might be difficult for some people. Not a lot of people have faith. My happiness is a direct reflection of my level of faith in the universe. Welcome in, everyone. This is Uma's Lotus Lounge, a featured stream. I am now going to, with so much pleasure, bring in King Egyptian for the Motivational Minute with King Egyptian. Guys, if you feel like it, put some clapping hand emojis in the comments, and let's welcome in King Egyptian. Hi, King.
Hello. You feeling?
Doing well. How are you today?
Can't complain. Busy, keeping my feet moving and moving around, you know what I'm saying?
That's all you can do. All right, King, I'm going to let you take it away with our motivational minute of the day.
Yes, I'm King Egyptian. This is our motivational minute, and today we're not going to just be talking about one great African American. We're going to be talking about 180,000 of them.
Ooh.
Because during the Civil War, about 179 to 180,000 African American men enlisted into the army, and they fought for civil rights. Organized into the United States colored troops, these soldiers, many formerly enslaved, served in combat and support roles fighting for emancipation and citizenship. Over 160 units were formed, including infantry, cavalry, and artillery. They played key roles in major 170,000 leading roles and all different kinds of elite missions. Roughly 60% of black men in the military were formerly enslaved. Black soldiers faced significant discrimination, including lower pay from $7 a month versus $13 a month for white soldiers until June 1864, and were often assigned to dangerous manual labor. The Confederate Congress threatened to enslave captured black soldiers, a policy that led to brutal treatment and massacres, such as the Fort Pillow Massacre of 1864. Despite prejudice, they proved their bravery in battles like the Milton's Bend and Port Hudson. 25 black soldiers and sailors were awarded the Medal of Honor. Beyond combat, they served as nurses, spies, scouts, cooks, surgeons, inventors. They also served as seamstress. And one of the most prominent Civil War surgeons was Dr. Alexander Augusta. I don't know if you know who he is, but very prominent African American doctor and surgeon, performed many amputations and saved many lives during the Civil War.
Wow.
The service of black troops and the subsequent shift in the war's purpose to include abolition were critical to the Union's victory and eventual passage of the reconstruction of the amendments granting citizenship. And I think that that's really important today, especially because all of our rights and everything that we have now is based on, not just inventors and not just great political leaders and, people who have an extensive eternal life, but those that won't ever be remembered and those whose names weren't written down, and, many of people who fought for freedom and, who fought for our rights beyond our knowledge, because it's been a long time coming. You know what I'm saying? I think that that's what Black History Month is about, and I think that that's what, culture is about in general. It's just being capable of, seeing beyond who you are and what you have today, but everything that it took for you to be able to have those rights.
I agree. Thank you so much for that. Guys, please welcome King Egyptian into the building. And for those of you that are on the MeetMe app, please feel free to hit him with a fave. King Egyptian, when do you stream? Do you want to tell people a little bit about your streams? What can they expect if they come to your streams?
Well, because of you, now we are at least streaming once a day. I'm going to start streaming at night. So I'm going to start trying to stream at night for right now. So this week I'll be probably live after 8 o'clock, But yeah, so we back going live now because of you. Because, what's the purpose of doing this if we're not going to stream? You know what I'm saying?
That part. And I keep looking for people that have like the content, and you definitely have the content. So I'm excited to hear that you will be streaming, and I am a night streamer here on the MeetMe app, so hopefully we can get some verses in. I just tend to have a lot of people in my boxes. Everybody's always chatting, but if I ever can kick them out, I will happily take your verse.
Okay, no problem. No problem. Hey, I already know you will. And if I feel like it's a desperate thing, I'll just come and get you.
Right, exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
That's what we have to do.
I appreciate you. I'll see you later. Blessings.
All right. Blessings, King Egyptian. Welcome in, everyone. That is King Egyptian with the Motivational Minute to start your day and start your week. Hi, everyone. Welcome in. So my topic for today, we're going to get into it. First, we're going to do the energy oracle message of the day. But my topic for today is spiritual shaming. When positive language becomes harmful. Right? We're going to talk about that today. And I have a story to tell, of course. But first, let's get our divine energy oracle message of the week. So today's message is make necessary sacrifices. Is your heart set on a particular goal or desire, yet you hesitate to commit for fear of what's required for success? Are you wishing for more in some part of your life, but you're unwilling or afraid to change anything to make room for something new? Are you seeking the prospect of greater interest in and involvement with others, yet resist upsetting your comfortable routines? If so, take notice that you're standing at an important juncture in your life, one where your spiritual adolescent faces your spiritual adult. It is time for you to grow past your comfort zone and embrace your greatness. It is time. Your divine energy is calling you to sacrifice short-term conveniences for longer-term gains. For every step you take towards your heart's desire, you must step away from the comfortable routine of the moment. The rewards are there if you make the effort. So that is our divine energy oracle message. I know a lot of people are like, Uma, why do you share these messages? The goddess guidance message, energy oracle message, and it's for the collective, it's for everyone. When you do collective messages, there could be 10 people in the room that are listening and 10 people in the room that will get a different reading or a different message. That's the beauty of collective messages. Now, for those of you that are watching me live, you can get your own reading, right? So for those of you that are on MeetMe, a 2K gift gets you bouncer status and a reading. For those of you that are on TikTok, a galaxy gift gets you a reading, right? For those of you that are on MeetMe, if we take that 50K goal, everybody gets a reading. And the biggest gifter gets a weekly reading in addition to their reading. But I feel like this week's energy, it's about truth and emotional maturity. Ask yourself these questions. Are you tired of pretending? Are you tired of being told to just stay positive? Are you tired of feeling like your emotions are spiritual failures? I ask this because we have some significant astrological events happening this week. And in fact, instead of me beating around the bush talking about it, let me just jump right in and tell you what is happening this week. Welcome in, everyone. This is Uma's Lotus Lounge. It is a featured stream here on the MeetMe app, and it is part of my podcast. And the goal of this show is to bring you into this new week with positive vibes and an understanding of what's happening. Now, the biggest thing you want to know about this week is that we have, what do we have, guys, happening this week? Mercury retrograde. We have Mercury retrograde starting this week. And if you don't know, you need to know what Mercury retrograde is. But it will begin in the middle of eclipse season, making this week a very messy week. Life will feel erratic and unpredictable, and it will be full of chaos. But remember, guys, the only way out is through. So here are some of the major transits that are happening this week. On February 22nd, we have Venus in Pisces and a Jupiter retrograde in Cancer. That happened yesterday. So it started to expand our hearts and romantic settings, right? February 26th, which is coming up this week, is the Mercury retrograde. And the Mercury retrograde is going to be in Pisces. Oh my gosh. It's going to be an emotional mess out here. This is going to bring miscommunications, confusion, travel delays, right? Who here knows about Mercury retrograde? Anybody? Antoine's like, yeah, I know a little bit about Mercury retrograde. Now, could you imagine that it's a Mercury retrograde in Pisces? What are we looking at with that, right? So this is what I'm going to tell you what you can expect. A Mercury retrograde lasts about 3 weeks. It's starting this week, so this is going to take us through the middle of March. There's going to be a lot of miscommunication because Mercury is the planet of logic and intelligence. And when we have a retrograde in this planet, people are going to be thinking more emotionally than they're going to be thinking logically. Now, for those of us on live streams, it's going to make for some good TV this week, all right? We're going to see a lot of fights, possibly a lot of breakups. We're going to see a lot more emotional damage, right? What's that sound? Emotional damage. I know I have a button for that somewhere. I do.
Emotional damage.
Happening this week, okay? So, yes, it's fun to watch, or, I know a lot of people enjoy those toxic streams or whatnot, but how do you not get sucked into it? Well, think before you act, listen before you respond, all those things. Because this week, your emotions are going to be running high. And someone might say something to you that usually you just let it slide off. You're like, whatever. But this week, you might be triggered. Now, do we have any Geminis or Virgos in here? Any Geminis or Virgos in here? The reason why I call you guys out, whether it's your sun, your moon, your rising, Geminis and Virgos tend to be more affected by a Mercury retrograde just because Mercury is their leading planet, right? All of the signs have a leading planet. Like I'm a Capricorn, so my leading planet is Saturn. So if you are a Gemini or a Virgo, or you have a lot of Gemini or Virgo in your chart, you could be easily affected by this Mercury retrograde this week. Aside from the Mercury retrograde in Pisces, right? We have the Sun and North Node of Destiny connect in Pisces, which means that we may have moments this week to revisit moments from the past. What does that scream, guys? What does that scream? Return of the exes. All right, return of the exes is what we're looking at. There we go. You got it. Texting an ex for sure. So I just want to tell you guys that if you ever have an ex that comes back to you during a Mercury retrograde, tread lightly, because you don't know if this person truly is upset, apologetic, right, about what they did, or if they're just being moved by their emotions, which can happen. So if you have that ex that comes back around, I would say drag it out at least until April. Now, if in April they're still saying the same thing and consistently the message is the same, this Mercury retrograde maybe got them in touch with their emotions and they've realized what a mistake they made. But if it's like night or day, right? After Mercury retrograde ends, you don't hear from them again, you're ghosted again, breadcrumbing is happening, then you know it wasn't that they really meant it. It was just an effect of the Mercury retrograde, right? If they came back before the retrograde, it's included. Because before the retrograde, we have what we call the pre-Mercury retrograde period. And then after the retrograde, we have the post period. So as Mercury is beginning to go retrograde, before it actually happens, we start to see that, because remember, Mercury is the planet of logic and communication. Yeah. So anytime like around a Mercury retrograde, I start to see people from my past come back, I know that it's not a good idea. Thank you for the fave. Hi guys, welcome in. This is Uma's Lotus Lounge, featured stream in here. If you guys send a 1K gift, you get a reading at the end of the show. And if we take that goal by some miraculous of miracles, everybody gets a reading in here. All right, what else is happening this week? Mars in Aquarius will square Uranus in Taurus, so that will allow us to explore our desires and passions, right? What does that scream? I mean, I'm feeling like there might be some extramarital affairs happening this week. You know what I'm saying? It's just like a lot going on. A lot of fails. A lot of fails. And then we do have Mercury retrograde aligning with Venus in Pisces, which makes us reflective and nostalgic. So this is my prediction for this week. Everybody going to be in their emotions. We might have some exes popping up, and then we might have some of you considering taking back those exes that pop up. Facts, right? So we'll see. It, like I said, it'll make for great TV here on the apps and on streaming, but to make sure you're not part of the TV schedule, right? Make sure that you're on top of your emotions. Because here's the thing. I tend to just, like, I already started today when I streamed earlier, they had some people coming in to troll me, and I didn't even allow myself to engage. I immediately removed them from my stream. Immediately. I was like, I'm not even going to go down that road, because I already know where this could lead, and it could get bad, right? It could get bad. All right, guys, let's get into our horoscopes for this week. So now that we know it's going to be a messy week, right? It is going to be a messy week. Let's talk about what the horoscopes look like for each of the 12 signs. If you are not here, if I call your sign and you don't say, yes, that's me, I'm going to not read the whole horoscope. I'm going to only read some of it. All right? So please let me know that you are here. And we're going to start with Aries. Do we have any Aries in the building? All right, Aries, your message this week is to focus on your inner needs. When you are open and honest with your feelings, you'll be able to connect with others on a deeper level. Taurus, do we have any Taurus in the building? Taurus, it's been a long time since you've had a lovely dinner or date out. Instead of having intense online connections, opt to meet up in person. Do we have any Geminis in the building? Gemini? All right, Geminis, deciding the future of your relationship will be hard. The pressure is on you to dictate the path you both will choose to take. Do we have any Cancer in the building? Cancer sun, Cancer moon, Cancer rising. All right, Cancer, you're known to wear your heart on your sleeve and express your tender sentiments at any given chance. The week will ramp up with your emotions, which we expect because it's going to be a messy week. Any Leos? Do we have Leo? Leo, you're not wanting to put your relationship on display, and why should you feel obligated to? It's totally fine to keep precious moments between you and your partner's secret. Do we have Virgos? All right, Virgo, you're ready to move on, but are still somewhat stuck in the past. Soon, you'll be able to let go, but for now, take care of yourself. Now, I do see we have a Libra. Libra, lately you've been a little self-serving, a vibe that has recently begun to manifest even though it contradicts your very giving nature, which can affect the state of your relationship. Therefore, it's important to start putting your partner first. Make sure that they feel seen and understood as you swim into March. Scorpio, do we have any Scorpios? Scorpio, step up the romance factor and plan a wonderful day outside for your partner. Include them in all of your mundane activities and make sure they have fun doing errands with you. This will ensure good vibes in your relationship as you both usher in a new amazing season together. Do we have any Sagittarius? I'm probably going to read out all of Sagittarius, being that I'm a Sag rising. Sagittarius, being open and honest about your feelings come naturally to you. However, you want to gauge your partner's feelings before fully expressing your own. Before you put all of your emotional cards on the table, have a candid discussion with them. Odds are that they're really into you too. Do Capricorn, we're definitely going to read out Capricorn. Capricorn, you want to strike a balance with your partner and even out all existing issues. This will take some effort, but the payoff and love that you'll receive will be bigger than expected. Be patient and mend the past to ensure a successful and beautiful future in your relationship. Aquarius, do we have any Aquarius in here? Aquarius, Mercury retrograde will give you a chance to reassess your finances and to make a case for asking for a raise at work. However, it's unclear whether the request actually worked or made an impact with your boss or decision makers. And finally, Pisces. Do we have any Pisces here? Pisces, it's a sentimental time to connect with the person you've been crushing on. You can deepen an existing commitment during the upcoming days by leveling up how you express yourself to your significant other. Don't hold back your emotions. Let them be known to those you love. That is the horoscopes for the week for each zodiac sign. Now, if you missed it and you just came in, if you spin a wheel, if you send a galaxy on the TikTok app, you guys can get your own personalized message of the week. All right? Welcome in. Welcome in, everyone. This is Uma's Lotus Lounge, a featured show here on the MeetMe app and on my podcast. Awesome. We have a wheel. That will be Cape Verde right after the show. We got you, sis. Thank you so much. All right. Now it's time for our positive news segment before we get into our topic today. And our topic today is spiritual shaming. All right. We're going to talk a little bit about spiritual shaming. But first, we're going to do the positive news for the week. The positive news for the week. This is a collection of different news around the world that I like to focus on because, you know, there's so much focus on negativity. And I don't know if you guys know this, but being negative affects your energy, and being around negative things affects your energy. And I don't know about you guys, but I have goals, I have dreams, I have things I want to realize in my life. So anything that takes me away from that, I'm just not interested in. And I hope you guys are too. So I figured instead of having a negative news segment, let's talk about a positive news segment, right? And here's your first news. Did you know that France has banned influencers from promoting dangerous cosmetic surgery and extreme diet products to protect young people? All right. That is something France is doing. I know. Cape Verde said, good. I like that because I feel like young children are so impressionable. And by them hearing all of this information about the way you were born is not right. Thank you, Jill. You know, that you're ugly, or your nose could be smaller, or your eyes bigger, or whatever the case may be. I think that's very, very hard for children. Let's at least let them grow up believing that they're beautiful. And then when they get older, and if they want to change, they can change. But I love that France is doing that. Did you know that China has banned OnlyFans? China has called OnlyFans a Western disease that leads to societal decline and poses a threat to public order. Yes. So OnlyFans is banned in China. I think that's amazing. I think that's warranted, and I think that's wonderful. Do you guys think that would affect America? Do you think that that's going to maybe have Americans close down the site, or what do you guys feel? No? The consensus right now is no. Do you feel that China said it is a Western disease? Do you feel that OnlyFans is a Western disease? I don't know if I would go so far to say it's a disease, but I can understand why they banned it, you know? Right, Jill. I don't think America will ban the site as well. All right, here's some good news. Does anyone love dogs? Does anyone love pets, love animals? Well, here's some good news for you animal lovers. Did you know that South Korea has shut down the dog meat market and has saved over 80,000 dogs per year? Yeah, that's great news, right? No more eating dogs in South Korea. Are you guys animal lovers? I hope you are. The funny thing is I don't have pets. I'm not an animal lover in terms of like having a pet, but I do love animals, if that makes sense. Like, I think they deserve to live, personally. It's my feeling about that. Right. Even though my dog gets on my nerves, I would never eat him. I love that. Okay, let's continue. In the UK, they have just launched a robot fish that eats only ocean plastic and feeds on it by digesting the ocean plastic. Isn't that amazing? So I think that's something that we should all do, right? We should, like, every country should make a robot fish, and it only eats plastic. Or how about this for a thought? We do away with plastic. We find different ways to do whatever plastic has been doing, right? That would be awesome. Now, this is great news for those of us that are getting older. I wish they had done this like 10 years ago so it would be more commonplace now, because I need it. But scientists from Stanford University, this is in the USA, so thank God we have some positive news from the USA. Scientists from Stanford University, led by Professor Helen Blah and Dr. Nidhi Bhutani, have identified a way to regenerate aged cartilage and reverse arthritis. Are they releasing this soon? Because I have arthritis too. And to regenerate aged cartilage, can this be out in the markets now? Because I need that for my knees. Anyone else have knee problems, or is it just me? Or maybe not, I used to have the Megan knees when I was younger. Now I have like Betty White knees, it's a lot. A lot of stress and strife on the knees. All right. Here's some great news from Iceland. Iceland legally guarantees equal pay for men and women, making the gender pay gap illegal. I have no knees now as well. Yes, way to go, Iceland. The fact that we're in 2026 and we still have a gender pay gap is monstrous to me. It's absolutely like a monstrosity. So I love that Iceland did that. Now, Australia, maybe I need to move to Australia. Australia could become, so it's not yet, but they're in the works. Australia could become the first nation in the world to eliminate cervical cancer. Look at that. Now that's great news, because with cancer being so widespread, did you know that they said in like 20 years, 1 in 2 people will have cancer? So that means in this room of 168 people, literally half the people in here would have cancer. Isn't that crazy? So Australia could become the first nation to eliminate cervical cancer. Yes, exactly. Cape Verde said, nice. That means they care about curing instead of making big pharma money. And I love that you pointed that out, because I love that there's so much pressure right now on the billionaires to not be billionaires. So many celebrities are calling them out. The population, the community is calling them out. Like, why is it not enough to be a millionaire? Why do you have to be a billionaire? Why do you have to hoard all that money? I can't hoard the money. Not when there's people starving and suffering in this world. And here's a personal story, a feel-good story. I can't show the picture because it's a kid, and we don't want to get banned on these apps, right? But I want you to know that at 13 years old, Lucas Gemelli Genova, I probably messed up his name, became the first patient in the world to be cured of terminal brain cancer. That's amazing. It's hard enough to know when people have cancer, but when little children get cancer, it's like a sadder thing, right? So yeah, he's sitting here, he's smiling with his mom, and congratulations to Lucas. Did you know in Luxembourg, their public transportation is free nationwide? No more paying for public transportation. You need to get from A to B, hop on the train, the bus, the ferry, whatever the case may be, and it is free. And I love that. That is amazing. Did you know in Thailand, they use recycled billboards to become shelters and save stray dogs? Another beautiful, humane effort concerning dogs, right? Did you see that? Yeah, I think that's adorable. Stray dogs. This is just a feel-good story that you guys need to know. There was recently an anonymous person who paid off school meal debts for hundreds of children in a school, sending the message that humanity is still alive in people's hearts. Do you guys do good things for people? I mean, I know we don't have the means to pay off hundreds of school debt, right? But do you do something? School lunch should be free. I agree. Children should always eat and have a safe place to live and enough access to healthcare. Children and education. I agree with that. All right, those are the positive news for the week. I hope that you enjoyed the positive news for the week. That's beautiful. And that's the thing, like, I think I need to do more. I always say that, like, I need to do more good things for people. But when I think about my life and the way I live my life, like, I come on here, I create these free shows for you guys. I'm always available to listen. I offer free clarity calls for people who just want to talk to somebody about stuff they're going through. It's like, I'm like, I do a lot, but I always feel like I could do more, you know? All right, welcome in everyone. This is Uma's Lotus Lounge. It is a featured show here on the MeetMe app. We're coming down to the end of the show, so if you would like a reading, whether a personal reading or you want a message about this week, please go ahead and send your 1K gift, whether you're on MeetMe or on TikTok. Now, we're going to get the goddess message of the week. This goddess that chose us is Nematona. She is, her name means sacred grove because she protected the ancient Celtic ceremonial sites, which were outdoors in sacred groves of trees. Nematona continues to watch over sacred sites, especially those connected with nature. She'll help you build your own sacred space and will assist with medicine wheel or labyrinth ceremonies. So her message this week is sacred space. Create an altar or visit a power place to connect with the divine. Your sacred space is within you now. By creating an altar or visiting a sacred site, you connect with the symbols and energy that have been infused with meaning and prayer over the centuries. Don't take these symbols lightly, for they're powerful indeed. When you connect with sacred symbols, you help your inner sanctity find a home in the outer world. You also tap into the ancient wisdom and spiritual grace of the old ways. Explore spirituality through sacred symbols and sites, and allow your soul to joyfully meander among the various ways available to you to unite with the divine. It's not a matter of how you connect, but that you do so frequently. Do you guys have an altar space in your house? I have an altar room. It's like a room filled with plants and crystals and stones and lots of sunlight. And I have little figurines of all the different deities because I like to honor the deities of each religion and each spiritual path. Yeah. So this is a good message for you, Cape Verde, to, all right, this week, create some time to set that sacred space up, and it will help with your flow of energy, right? All right, that is the goddess message of the week. So now let's talk about our topic for today, spiritual shaming. I came up with this topic because over the weekend, I taught Reiki. Do you guys know what Reiki is? I taught Reiki over the weekend, and I met this woman who was actually on a reality show. It was called The Lost Paradise, L-O-S-T, The Lost Paradise. And it was amazing that she was taking Reiki classes with me this weekend. She's a pastor, but her story was that in 2014, she carried a baby, a full-term pregnancy, and at her delivery, she delivered a stillborn. And of course, that is something to grieve. You know what I mean? And 5 years later, in 2019, just before COVID hit, she went on this show, Lost Paradise. And her clip was with her and this woman who was a Reiki healer, and she was working on her. And I saw a couple of things that she did wrong, but I'm not going to talk about that. I want to talk about, she said to my client, the reason you lost your baby is because you didn't have enough faith in the world. And how are you a pastor and you don't have faith? I am so glad that my client was able to speak up for herself. And she told her, she's like, you know, I always believe that fake healers and charlatans use that as an excuse by saying you don't have enough faith and that's why these things happen to you. And when she told me this story over the weekend, it really resonated with me because I get that now, right? Most of you know that I have breast cancer, stage 2. And there have been a few people that have said online in these streams, how are you a healer and you got cancer? So I want to talk about this because spiritual shaming is a big part of the spiritual community, and this is something that we have to address. Spiritual shaming happens when spiritual ideas are used to dismiss pain instead of holding space for it. People will say things like, you attracted this. If you were healed, this wouldn't bother you. Just focus on gratitude. Spirituality becomes harmful when it demands perfection. That's not real spirituality, guys. And I know there's a lot of expectations people have of healers that we have to be always happy and always joyful and always peaceful. But healers are people too. Healers experience grief, anger, confusion. Healers experience doubt. Healers need time to process, right? Here's some real facts that I want to share with you. You can meditate every day and still get triggered. You can teach healing and still struggle. You can believe in manifestation and still experience hardship. Learning, growing, evolving. It doesn't happen in the absence of emotion. It's the integration of those emotions, right? You can't feel ashamed if you get angry. You can't feel ashamed if you're depressed. You can't judge yourself if you worry a lot. These are natural human emotions. Do you want to be evolved? An evolved person takes accountability. An evolved person says, I'm working through this right now. Yeah, I'm healing. I'm not healed. Being honest, being truthful. So we have to stop looking at everybody in their different paths and trying to figure it out. The only thing you need to be figuring out is your own path and why things happen the way they do. That's specific to you. The minute you start looking to the left, to the right, to see what other people are doing, you are now spiritually shaming other people. And it has to stop. There is no one here that's living a perfect life. Absolutely no one. So what people are doing to get by, what people are doing to survive, what people are doing to make ends meet is none of our business, guys. Right? What we should be doing is paying attention to our own path and the pain we have and the things we suffer from. So that's the clarity I want to provide for today. And I want you to be honest with yourself and ask yourself, in what ways am I spiritually shaming other people? And if you find that you did spiritually shame other people, be honest about it and say, you know what, I messed up. And it's okay. It's okay that I spiritually shamed someone else. I apologize for it. If you have it in you, apologize to that person and move on with your life. One time I did this thing. Okay, let me say the story like this. They had a girl on here that was a big gifter of mine, and she took me away on a weekend. Not just me, a bunch of us. She pretty much rented an Airbnb and invited a bunch of us to go and celebrate her man's birthday with her. And it was like the weekend from hell. it was a lot of stuff going on. My anxiety was through the roof because every morning at like 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, I was getting woken up with some drama going on in the house. It was a very horrible weekend for me. I like peace and calm. And I was very angry at her because she knows the kind of lifestyle I live and that I'm not with all this drama and trauma. And I felt like she was personally responsible for endangering me, endangering my partner who also came on that trip, endangering another woman and that woman's child. So I had righteous anger, as you would call it, and I took off on her. And we fell out, of course, because of it, because she chose to stay in that unhealthy environment that she was putting out. And I said, well, it's your choice. If you want to stay, then stay. But I can't be your friend if you're going to choose this for yourself. And she understood. But then she kept poking the bear, right? She kept coming in here. She's probably in here right now on a lurker account, right? Watching me. And then she did something despicable in my eyes. She went to the friend of mine and lied on me and said, like, I was gossiping about her and stuff. And I would never. I don't do that to my friends. So the one thing I did do was I came on here and I dragged her, right? Really awfully. Like, I talked about her. I talked about her physical appearance. I talked about her and her man and how toxic they are. I talked about it all. I was so mad. And I let her get to me. I did. Because I ended it nicely with her, off screen, off camera. And I thought that was the end of it, but it wasn't the end of it. It wasn't, because she couldn't respect that I didn't want to be in her life anymore. So she kept coming to my live on a lurker to just watch me, which is weird in of itself. If somebody if Les Brave says, Uma, I don't like you, I don't rock with you, I am never going back to Les Brave's stream, right? Why? Why would I go where I'm not welcomed, right? But this woman kept coming. And then on top of that, she kept lying about me. So that really set me off. And I dragged her really mercilessly on this stream. So at the time, I felt right for doing it. I felt like if people come at you, you have every right to like respond in anger or to fight back or to defend yourself. But I grew from that and I realized, no, you don't need to even respond. If people lie on you, let them. If people make up things about you, let them, right? Because thank you. Because at the end of the day, the real people who really rock with you will know that they're lying on you. And the people who are not made up about you, they don't have their mindsets made up about you, they might choose to believe the stuff and they might choose to go that way. And that's okay too. You're not here to be liked by everyone, guys. Hi, Virgo. You're not here to be liked by everyone. You're here to live your life. And hopefully you meet some genuine people along the way that genuinely rock with you. They don't rock with you because of what they can get out of you. They don't rock with you because of what you could do for them. They rock with you because they genuinely like you. And I can tell you this, I know a lot of you don't believe that exists on the online community, but I'm going to tell you this, it does. Because I have a lot of friends, real friends that I made friends with on this online community. People who stand with me, people who gift me, people who support me, people who come to my stream every time I go live, people who get in my box and sit and talk with me, people who check on me outside of the apps. Like, I have real genuine friends. You can meet genuine people on here. But do you know what requires for you to do that? It requires you being the most genuine version of yourself. Because you can't ask for something from someone that you can't give. And you know what is the biggest compliment anybody ever gives me on the online setting? Is when they say to me, Uma, you're the same. From 5 years ago when you started streaming to now, you consistently show up and you are the same person. You have not changed. That is the biggest compliment I've been given in my life. Because it means that I'm authentically showing up as I am, faults and all, right? All right. We are coming down to the end of my show. If you send a 1K gift, you will get a reading for the week or a reading about whatever it is that you want to reading on. I know I'm going to be reading for Cape Verde, but before I end the show, let me give you your self-care tip for the week and also your challenge for the week, because that is a new thing that we're doing here on Uma's Lotus Lounge. All right. Your self-care tip of the week is to check your inner voice. Spiritual shaming isn't actually something that we do to other people. It's actually something that we do to ourselves. Notice when your inner voice says, I should be over this. I teach this. I shouldn't feel this way. I'm not evolved enough. I'm not pretty enough. I'm not intelligent enough. Replace those things. I am in process. I'm allowed to grow at my own pace. Feeling does not equal failure. The way you speak to yourself matters. And if you start catching yourself on these things that you tell yourself, you're going to start catching it when you do it to other people as well. And that's how we cut down on this spiritual shaming. The challenge for the week is, we're going to call it a compassion swap challenge. All right? This week, every time you catch yourself thinking or saying things like, everything happens for a reason, I manifested this, I just need to raise my vibration. Anytime you catch yourself doing that, pause, take a deep breath in, exhale, and replace it with, that sounds hard. I'm present right now. What do I need right now? How can I give myself some grace about this? And guys, I'm not talking about this like I'm here and you guys are here. I actually came up, part of the reason I came up with this topic is because I caught myself doing it too. I started saying I manifested cancer. And I had to really pull back and say, wait a minute, when I say that, it don't feel right. So I said, so what's this about, Uma? And I had to meditate on this. And I'm like, what is this about? And what this is about is this. I did not manifest cancer. Cancer happened to me. I have a gene in my body that made me more susceptible to having cancer. It was out of my manifestations, out of my reach, out of my care. And it's okay for me to just sit with it and receive that and say, this happened to me, and that's okay. So whatever has happened to you, whatever you're going through, it's okay. You don't have to have a rhyme or a reason. You can just sit with, this is happening to me and this sucks. That's okay. So, your challenge this week is the compassion swap. Anytime you find yourself talking negatively or saying things that go against you, replace it. And when you replace it, see how you feel. It will change how you feel about yourself. And if you work this with other people, it will change your relationships as well. So, thank you guys so much for coming. Tonight wasn't about being spiritually correct. It was about being spiritually honest. If you can take one thing from this episode tonight, I would say let it be this. Your presence is more powerful than platitudes. And you are allowed to be human while you grow, even if you wear the title of healer, teacher. Each and every day, you are the lotus flower rising through the mud, not because you're perfect, but because you're willing to keep going and to keep becoming. So I say this with love to all of you. May love, light, and peace bless you and guide your way. Namaste.